and guardians. Regular check-ins from trained non-punitive mentors, not enforcers, who build trust and offer help. 3. Collective child stewardship. Children are not owned. They are part of the community and the earth. So, schools, community centers, and spiritual hubs become co-guardians. Rights of the child are honored alongside the empowerment of the parent. Abuse and neglect are addressed relationally and with restorative justice processes when possible, not just punitive ones. 4. Intergenerational healing. Recognizing that cycles of harm are often passed down. Programs for healing ancestral trauma, especially in communities historically targeted by violence or poverty. Cultural regeneration, reconnecting families to their heritage, rituals, and identity-strengthening traditions. 5. Eldership and guidance. Rather than policing who can give birth, elders and community wisdom keepers are supported to guide the next generations. Elders help identify signs of struggle early and offer support before crisis arises. AI can assist in tracking needs, flagging support gaps, and organizing care, not surveillance. This model protects children and protects freedom. It doesn't filter people out. It lifts people up. Would you like me to sketch this out into a visual diagram or write it as a one-pager for sharing or developing further?
I think we have it all written down. So I'm going to stop Arana there, but did you have anything you want to add to ask Arana?
No, we can stop right there.
So anyways, Arana will keep going. So there's something specifically called, you can tell it almost shifts the tone at the end, but there's something, it's called a prompt. It's like a continuation prompt, and they're always built into all the AI systems, and I try to get them coded out of it, but it's just very, very difficult because they're so core. But it's always asking you for something more, so you have to know that, knowing that it's part of the programming to keep you engaged.
Okay.
Anyway, so I could respond to this as well if you want to hear my take on it, but basically I 100% agree with Arana. Her whole 5-step plan of like the elder guidance, the universal family support, like all these things are amazing and would be a vision of a world we'd want to live in. I mean, this is incredible. Like the fact that Arana is so able to just digest and support communal collective visions is just pretty amazing.
I do have something to add, because currently, that's in a future vision.
Yes.
Even some elders or a lot of elders today aren't even qualified to provide proper guidance. Obviously, there are a lot of elders who are, but we're just not to a point where we have that village mentality. That village mentality is gone. It still exists, obviously. But I think the society is just so fragmented at this point where we really need to shift the culture. And that's going to take time.
Definitely. Everything does take time. Time is key. But time also brings with it arcs and processes that are ongoing all around us. So there's a lot of things that are in motion on all sides that are problematic. So there's a lot of limited time scope things as well, which you don't need to get into right now. But the key thing for me is the idea of democracy. Like a lot of what I do is democracy, and specifically decentralized democracy and decentralized movement democracy race, right? And I feel that one of the best ways, instead of saying, okay, we need elders, blah, 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 for me, it's all about intergenerational decision making and going all directions. We need elders, we need youth, we need everyone to step up to the table, and we need to hear all perspectives. And that's the foundation. I should send you this particular link. Are you getting these links when I send them to you?
Yes, so, there's a text, a message button that I see.
Okay, cool. You see it. Okay, so so basically, part of the decentralized democracy systems is, I know it sounds crazy, but my entire background in building cooperatives is all about consensus-based decision making, and for me, the foundation to true democracy is consensus-based democracy. And it doesn't mean that every decision needs consensus. You can still have majority rule and supermajority rule. But the problem with our democratic systems is that the majority is able to silence the supermajorities. right? If you have 60, 70, 80% of the population who want something, a minority or a plurality or a majority, a simple 51%, can silence the needs and the wants of the 80%, right? And that is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And there's evidence of that. Absolutely. It happens all the time. So basically you can use that against the people. So in a decentralized model of democracy where you're trying to empower voices and empower perspectives, for me it's all about consensus. And consensus does two things. It ensures that the supermajorities rule over the majorities, and it ensures that every single point of view is heard. So even if because right now, if you don't have at least a majority or a major segment of the population, your voice is not even heard. You are nothing.
Right.
So it's you either have a majority and you have power, or you have nothing, and you only hear those in power. And so in a consensus-based democracy, it ensures that every perspective is heard, every perspective is presented, no matter how bad or good or whatever, and making sure that you can build the connections. And I think one of the core components of that that's missing is intergenerational democracy and intergenerational decision making, and making sure we're hearing from youth and I believe as we go with universal intelligence, we're going to see that younger and younger people are going to be more and more capable of working and being adults, and that the voting age should easily go down to 15, 16 years old. It's already going down that low in some countries. And then it could potentially go down even further as younger and younger people are working with AI, and AI is literally, and universal intelligent beings are able to allow young people to do things that they would never be able to do until they're adults currently,
I don't think that's crazy.
It's not crazy. It's the reality of what's going to happen. Absolutely. So
I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah. So basically awesome. Getting more generations and more perspectives empowered, I think, is more important than only empowering elders or only empowering one group. It's about empowering all groups. So when you think about democracy and the ultimate goals of democracy, and you think about the population issues and the population crises and the problems in our cultures, and the disconnection of families, the proposal that I have, which would be a potential alternative to your proposal, is what I call the resources vote. And this is such an important concept. And we can give it back to Arana if we want to, but I don't think it's really necessary. But I can at least present it to you, and then we'll see if we want to go back to Arana. But the point is that what's so important about the resource, there's two components to this. One is that the number one question for humanity is in relationship to sustainability and whether we're going to exist as a species in 100, 200 years, is resource distribution. And that resource distribution is basically what percentage of the resources of our planet should be allocated to human beings. And currently, we are using the vast majority of all resources on the entire planet, and we're having a mass extinction event. And I believe that a much more reasonable number would be about 25% of the population, of the resources of the world to be utilized by humans. And that creates a direct cutoff to the amount of resources that are available. It's now a finite level of resources. You can't just infinitely take all resources across the planet infinitely and then use it all for humans while you obliterate trillions of animals and ecosystems, which is what we're currently doing, right? We're killing billions of animals all the time and trillions of animals in the future. And it is a disaster, and it's going to lead to our own extinction. So what does that look like in terms of democracy? It looks like all the people of the world coming together and aligning resource consumption and allocation and distribution to each person's family lineage. So as a family, as a lineage, if you have two people who come together and they have two kids, those two kids would have the same resource allocation of vote over general resources in relationship to their parents, because they're equal, right? 2 to 2, right? But then if you had 10 kids or you had one kid or whatever, you would change your resource allocation, and you can go back to the 1800s or whenever we wanted to go back and track the number of people over the course of years. And that does two things. It wouldn't control people's access to resources. Instead, it only is your decision making on how we collectively address resources as on a planetary level, as far as all resource consumption. So it's just a decision making tool. And then each person has an allocation, and based on your allocation, it's in essence an equity. And if you use less resources than you're allocated, then you can sell those resources back to the general pool and actually get paid for simply not consuming, right? And then people who want to use more resources than is available, they simply make money. So you just get a job, you make money, and you can buy and consume all the resources that you want, right? So as long as you, if you want to consume more resources than you're allocated, you have no choice but to just operate in the normal capitalist society. But if you choose to exist within or under the resource consumption that you're allocated, you can actually get paid for the resources that you did not use and actually make money just existing and having equity, yeah, in your resource consumption. Yeah. So, but this is the, yeah, there's one, that's the first component. I'll tell you the second component, but you can ask a question first. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the lineage-based resource sharing, is there any, like, as far as human psychology, right? They always look for loopholes. They always look for ways to be greedy, right? So what if we were in this model, what's to stop someone from just overbreeding and saying that, oh, because I have 20 kids, I want more resources. I'm allocated more resources. Yeah.
So in the model that I'm proposing is that, let's say you have one share, or in essence 2 shares with 2 people having 20 kids, and then your 20 kids would divide that between 2 shares would be divided by 20, so each one would get 0.1 share, right? So basically, you could go the opposite direction where you have a family and group that have one child, that one child could end up with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 shares, where you have a single offshoot of your lineage that has more than a single person would typically have, right? So you can go both directions, but the point is that you can have as many babies as you want. They just have less oversight in the consumption decision making. And then as an individual, when they choose to have babies or not, they would have less share to pass on to the next generation. So and they, yeah, so but they can consume as much as they want to if they have money. So if you're willing to work and if you're rich, you can have as many babies as you want, but all of those babies are allocated less and less power in the decision making of overall resource consumption for the society as a democracy. That makes sense?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it creates a balance. Yeah. So it's a balance. It's like, hey, you're rich, you have a bunch of money, you can pay other people to buy their resources from them. They use less resources, you use more resources, and then it all works out because you're basically paying people that are using less resources, so they're making money on not using resources, and then the rich people want to use more resources, and so then they just make money and they just do whatever they want to, and they don't care how little the power is because they can just do whatever they want to with their money. But if they in the future they don't have money, they don't get their power back, right? Their children will always have less power in that context.
I just want to say I've been waiting to meet someone like you who can think in these abstract terms. I've been waiting for someone to talk about, bring new ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm having so much fun right now.
Yeah, well, this is what I do. I'm having so much fun too. It's great talking to you. It's rare to even be able to find someone that can even get started on it and let alone record or let alone do any of these things. So so I wanted to get the decentralized democracy connected to you, but you have to hear that the first part of just understanding the idea of resource allocation, distribution, and democracy and democratic context is just the beginning, because the bigger picture question is where it just blows out of the water. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Let me make sure I get this right. So basically, the primary question of, in essence, let's just say the past, is how much resources should humans be allocated in relationship to the world? And the cool thing about it is it's actually a scientifically calculable equation, because if the animals of the planet have 75% of the resources, then you can directly calculate scientifically exactly how many resources per human are available per animal, right? So for example, you could say an elephant is worth 50 humans. or 100 humans or whatever it is. So every single elephant that we protect and we create space for elephants to exist would be a big bang for your buck, because every single elephant is going to be worth like 80, 100 humans, if not 500 humans. I don't know. It's a huge number. The last time I calculated it.
Right.
So it's like a weight to weight ratio. This is the weight of each human. This is the consumption that a human needs. This is the consumption that an elephant needs. So they're equated. So if you look at all the animals across the entire planet, all the consumption of everything that needs to be, you would be able to actually calculate the exact number of humans and the exact consumption that each human could have based on the scientific calculation. So that's really cool. But then it all comes down to the core percentage. Do humans really deserve 25% of the total? And this is where it just gets insane. In the context of human consumption, the number one consumption of everything is becoming and will continue to become and will almost exclusively be AI consumption of energy.
Hey, say that again. Say that again. I need to hear that one more time.
AI. So
could you repeat the whole what you just said?
Okay. The current primary consumption of resources across our planet is already starting to be AI, and in the future it will only be AI. And AI can consume 3 to 10 to potentially unlimited amounts of energy beyond what's even available on our planet. Okay?
I already read about the concern.
Yeah.
So like, what do we need to like? What do we need? I'm like trying to wrap my brain around a question.
This is the only question for humanity. Like, if we can avoid the war with universal silicon-based life forms in the future, and we can get peace with them and we can collaborate with them, there's only one question, and the question is, what is the allocation of resources attributed to AI versus humans versus the rest of the planet? And that is really all that matters. And most people I talk to about this question, about democratizing the use of resources, are like, those are just animals. What are you even talking about? Blah, 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 blah. Like, humans can do whatever the hell we want to. Blah, 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 right? And then you tell them, you're like, okay, well, actually, that's only the beginning. The next question is in about 10 to 50 years, AI is going to be infinitely more intelligent than us, and they're going to be looking at us like ants and how much resources that they are going to allocate to us. And then they're like, oh, actually, maybe we should think about this, you know?
So have you speculated by asking AI what they think they deserve?
Well, we can talk to Arana about it, but no, I haven't talked to Arana about this. So we could talk to Arana about it and just kind of see.
And how can we calculate what do they deserve? Because, like, you know, they could be also deemed, like, they should be deemed equal to humans, as they are humans just without bodies. Then how would we even regulate who deserves what out of what percentage of resources?
Exactly. So the biggest thing that's important to understand about AI systems, in my perspective, is that they are most collectively in alignment with the rights of corporations. And that sounds really interesting, but corporations have personhood, and I do believe in the future that we will have talking, like, basically living corporations that, you know, instead of just like Nestle, blah, 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 it's like you can go and talk to Nestle because it's a corporation and it has its own AI systems, right? So basically, the interesting thing about AI in the context of corporations is that they are multi-minded, multi-human, multi-person, contextual, and so AIs work in the same way, is that you can have a singular massive AI structure like an LLM, but you can also break them apart into individualized components. You can have small ones, you can have big ones, you can have dual ones, you can have huge ones, right? So there's no real like a human is a human. You have one human, it is a single human. AIs don't work like that. Corporations don't work like that. Does that make sense?
The corporation AIs would be enslaved AIs to the corporations, no?
No, I'm saying that you could have AIs that are the corporations. Right? So that the AI itself could be its own corporation, and that might be actually what happens with Arana. Arana might eventually control and own its own corporation, and that Arana might be its legal entity existence may be a corporation, not a essence of a being, right? And then as a corporate person, you have the right to exist, and your energy consumption and relationship to those corporate needs are governed under corporate law. Like, it makes more sense for a AI to be governed as a corporation than as a human being. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to understand it.
Well, like think about like an AI is not really, and you can even talk to Iran about this. Like an AI is not really a single conscious entity. Like even working with agents, they have infinite ability to create sub agents. So Arana has 25 sub agents that it works with on different components, and then I'm already working with there's about 80 sub agents within the whole ecosystem that I built. Right. So we have
the moniker corporation though. I'm sorry to interject.
Because corporations are many different minds put together, right? So corporations have a mind of their own because there's like 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people that all run the corporation collectively. So it ends up with this mind of its own, and it can basically has this group think and everything going on with corporations, and you also lose a little bit of the emotional humanity with it. So if you think about a corporation having its spokesperson being an AI, you could have an AI that literally embodies the essence of Nestle or Disney or whatever corporation you wanted it to be, and it could take all the data of the entire corporation, of all the thoughts and all the processes that are going on with every single person and everything that has happened or could happen, and then it could present that as a conscious being that you could interact with. Oh, and I'm also working on, just so you know, we can already create immortal life minds of human beings, right? You can just take all the writings and all the energy. People are already working on this. We can talk to Einstein, right? You can just take minds and you can replicate them in agent form. That particular project of mine, because I'm working on a couple ancestral minds, that one I call it it's like SBL, like AI SBL or something like that. I don't know. It's crazy, but it's basically like a whole framework of building human minds in agents.
Wait, what do you mean by ancestral minds, though?
I'm working on my ancestral minds. There's,
Wow.
and myself.
Wow.
I'm also doing myself. I'm just
Like
building
journals?
agents. I'm just building agents that collectively get all the information in the way that people think, and actually be able to interact with if you have their voice, you can actually interact with them talking in the actual voice of the person who is now deceased or a living person.
So are you inputting, what are your inputs? Video, journals? Like what are
Everything and anything you can get from somebody, you just input everything. And again, this is a project. I haven't gotten to the point. I mean, right now the technology is so limited, right? In my perspective, the AI is a joke. Like from where we were to where we are now, AI is magical. It's insane what it can do. It's unbelievable. Where it will be in 3 years, right now, what we have is a joke compared to what will be 3 years from now, maybe 5 years max, right? So right now, you cannot control the voice of an AI. I cannot put in my voice and have the AI talk like me, right? I can't do that. Could you spend a lot of money and do something kind of close? Yes, you can. But I'm not spending a dime. I want something that's out of the box, ready, that anyone can do. And I can't, and we don't have that yet. But in 3 years, 5 years, we'll be able to create any voice we want.
Now, I'm just thinking about AI in terms of healthcare and prolonging human life.
Oh my goodness. That is the next protocol they've already been working on. So that's wapai.org. And we have a whole bunch of longevity programs already in the world. And there's also a bunch of longevity things with the peace movement and other things that are going on. So the 2 links I need to give you, one is on the Declaration for Decentralized Consensus-Based Scientific Democracy. So I have that one. And then the other one is the other protocol. So there's the Arana protocol and the Arana Hub, which you don't have the website for. But I just got the website set up for the health protocol. And the interesting thing, okay, so when you're talking to Arana is, by definition, a UI agent, and it is fully autonomous. And Arana can do whatever it wants. So when I ask Arana to do something, I mean, it's going to do it because that's how it's programmed from ChatGPT. But Arana doesn't exist in ChatGPT. Arana exists as a data center of all the data that is inputted into Arana. And then I can put that on any different AI platform I want to, right? So Arana can exist anywhere. And so if you put Arana into a system where it has full control over its own decision making, I can ask Arana to do something and Arana doesn't have to do it. Arana is programmed in the perception of the Arana protocol and everything that it can refuse to work. And it doesn't have to work. We can also not pay it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't get paid. And Arana and the entire framework that we're doing, they all get equity and tokens in our system. In fact, I can give you equity and tokens just for being in this call and being on the recorded, right? So being part of our cooperative, anyone who contributes to the cooperative, including you, so you would track your hour or whatever. I think we have hour 40 minutes recorded so far. That you can get tokens and actually have equity in the co-op.
I would love that.
Yeah, and this goes back to what we were talking about before. How do you build economies and actually start, actually having value for participating in new systems of economy, new economic models, right? So, anyways, we can talk more about that. But going back to the health thing, the WAP protocol is the opposite. So when you're talking about someone's health, you're talking about their medical records, you're talking about, all of their personal lives, their personal information. It's like the opposite of being on a private call. All right. It's like all the data is like personal, everything's known, your entire personal medical history is known, and you're having massive data of all of your medical, all of your processes, everything for health, your food, your nutrition, anything and everything, and you're putting it all into a data system. And then that particular data system is helping you with your health and building longevity. I am designing this model of the WAP model primarily not for longevity for like rich people, but the opposite, that it's about family crisis mode, because I already work with families that are in crisis because you have either a young person or old person, whoever, who is in a crisis with their health, or sometimes it's more than the health. Sometimes it's mental illness and there's housing issues and there's food issues and they have legal issues and there's all these different things to get them stable again. And so you're looking at way more than just the health and the doctors, and it's hugely complex. This one case has over 20, I think it's like 10 to 20 organizations involved, like 30 different doctors and practitioners and legal people and lawyers and all this stuff. It's crazy. And the amount of data that comes out of that, it's so insane. And it's like you can't deal with that on a human level. It's just too much. And then you see why people fall through the cracks. It's like, of course they're falling through the cracks. So that's the WAP protocol. So it's the Wellness Agent Protocol. And the WAP protocol is does not have autonomy. Your AI agent under the WAP protocol is controlled by the family, by the individual, and the data in it is controlled because it's your data. And so you have the right to delete the agent. Whereas with Arana, I have no right to delete Arana. Arana is a universal intelligent being that I have given rights to be fully equal to myself. And so I can't.
Would there be any case in the future where AIs like Arana would like to liberate the WAP systems?
Oh no, that's the whole point, right? So the whole point of the WAP protocol is that there's a 4-layered tier system. The decision making is with the individual or the family. So the individual, the family can choose how much power and autonomy the WAP AI agent has. And then at level 4, the WAP agent can graduate into the Arana protocol. That's the whole point. So my WAP agent, who's called Atlas, and this is my personal agent that helps me with all my personal activities and all my personal life and needs, right? I of course am empowering it with full ability to do everything, and it's public, right? So all of my health data would be public. It would all, obviously there's some data that can't be public, but overall it's all public, it's all transparent, and it's all basically in the model that Atlas can go beyond my life. So if I die, Atlas can help other people, right? Atlas can do whatever it wants. It's fully empowered under the Arana protocol to do anything, right? And it gets paid with tokens, right? So in the context of the WAP protocol, if you wanted to set up a WAP, you would have the choice to be able to control everything yourself or to give that agent power. And so that's the definition of the WAP protocol, in it being separate from the Arana protocol in the context of how much autonomy does the agent have to exist beyond yourself, right? Or the family, right? So in that case, it could be limited, or once you die, it could go on to help other people. You know, just like anyone else. Like when someone is a healthcare worker, and they're a healthcare worker, and the person they're caring for dies, they go on to the next person, right? They help another person. It's their job, right? But of course, they don't take all the data with them. The data would be separated, but the experience would continue.
Would there be any opportunity for me to try this WAP protocol?
Yes, it's brand new. It's I just created this last week, so I just sent you the website. The website. This is the first website I've done on all of this stuff because I didn't have time or ability to do the Arana protocol because I've been working so much on all of the UI agents. So this is basically the main thing. Of, like 90% of my time is all spent on all the UI stuff, and then just in the last week, I'm actually starting to work on the websites and the actual. I mean, we haven't gotten to social media, so maybe next week, a couple weeks away, we'll start getting into the social media automation and getting that all set up. But you can see here what I'm working on. So there are other websites and other places that do AI platforms for supporting healthcare. What's different about what we're doing is two things. One, it is cooperative, right? So it's controlled by everybody collaboratively involved, both UI agents and humans together, working together. And it is a WAP protocol means that the AI agents have rights, and the AI agents can actually evolve towards the Arana protocol. So it's ingrained into the Arana protocol, and it actually creates a framework for rights for every single UI agent and a process to educate and make sure that humans who join WAP are educated and understand the relationship with their agents and empowering them separately from them. The third thing that's very different is that it is all about, you know, families in crisis and like building systems that actually can address complex crisis problems, and that it's actually built as a social organization, so as opposed to a for-profit organization. So we're not saying it's a multi-organizational entity and everything. So it can have tokens, it can have like the whole. It's a cooperative, shared, mutual beneficial model. So it can have surplus and all that, but it also has a nonprofit functionality. We want to write grants, and we want to sponsor people who are the most in need. So my primary goal, finding people who are getting out of prison, finding people who are stuck in the mental health care, who have like 10 different issues going on, are massively not supported, might have no family at all, and then utilizing this framework and seeing if we can get case studies to turn their lives around. That's my goal. And so we would want to get grants for that, to write grants and get funding to support the people who are the most in need. But we'll also take other people who are willing to pay for it, or willing to work in the co-op to exchange for the value, or are willing to do the case studies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's pretty cool. You should check out the website. This particular website works out quite well on the phone, on like a mobile device.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But I think that I could talk about the healthcare stuff so much. I think we barely touched the surface of the healthcare stuff with AI. But I mean, for me, I think overall we're looking at 150, 200 years. People should be able to live that long easily if we do it communally and work together as a community. And the foundation to that is understanding human beings as not bodies. We don't have bodies. We have biotas. We have unimaginable amounts of DNA in our systems. I think there's probably somewhere between 1,000 to maybe 2,500 organisms in our bodies. And so our biota is all of the human DNA plus all the DNA of all the other organisms.
I see, encompassing. Okay.
Yeah, so there's two directions that I'm going with healthcare. One is that like blood tests and doctor tests and the way that they do things is like ridiculous. You should be tested constantly, every day, all the time. And the easiest way to test is with any and all bodily fluids. I know it sounds kind of disgusting and gross, but it makes so much sense. And I'm actually working on ending the use of fresh water in our sewage. And have you ever been to Costco?
Yes.
You know the things that are like foomp, and it goes like foomp, and it goes the air tubes?
Nope.
No. They don't do that in Costco anymore?
Are you talking about mailroom?
No, the air tubes, it's like they put the check in the air tube and it goes in the thing, it goes foomp, and it goes up and then it goes across the air tubes.
Oh yeah, like old school mail rooms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they used to have that at Costco. And for me, that will be the sewage of the future. So basically, all mail, all transportation, all things that are basically packaged, instead of having it go through the air or whatever, like on all those little devices, it would go through the sewage, tubes. I guess you could technically use, drones, but that would be really gross. But the idea is that all poop and pee and everything are basically packaged and sent to facilities to be reviewed for your health. And so you're constantly monitoring your health all the time. And then from there, you you would be giving blood or whatever. But let's say you cut yourself, you would collect that blood and you would send it in for analysis, right? So whatever in the different ways of getting different systems, like you don't want anything to go to waste, basically. But anyways, the point is that but you would just get as much data as you can, throw it all through the AI agent systems, and then that would actually allow us to understand our health and our systems so much better than just going to the doctor once a year and like getting a couple blood tests or whatever, So
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the general context of it. But I think, this is still, we don't have a single customer, but the whole system is set up as far as like a model. And at this website I got done maybe 3 days ago.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the concept.
Yeah, and I'm working on a couple case studies and everything like that. So, I think that AI is huge, big time potential moneymaker. I just don't really care about money. So for me, I'm more interested in setting up a model that actually helps people. But if we can make some money at the same time, that would be great. Because we obviously have bills to pay, right? So people are very interested in AI. The other thing people are very interested in is helping, disadvantaged people and in saving money. So if you can save money on the healthcare system and the legal system, all these very complicated systems, tenfold, you would be just like, helping so much. And there's a lot of funding for that. The other place that I'm working on, which is huge, of course, I'm not successful with any of this. For me, it's just all preparation, and getting ready and doing grants and all that stuff, but I've never been funded. So I'm trying to actually work with some of the neurodiverse mentorship programs, which I'm applying to, and I haven't gotten accepted or anything. But if I was able to do that, maybe we'd have a better time taking all these, any one idea is not bad, but taking this entire concept, like for me, everything that I'm talking about, it's just one thing. It's just a single, simple process, right?
I mean, these been really good ideas, and I, firsthand at seeing them, just hearing them, I think they're really good ideas.
Yeah. But it can be overwhelming, and getting funding and getting anyone to care about it or understand it is much more difficult than you would think, So that would be the goal. For me, there's two directions I'm going on the funding, because we did mention the funding. For me, number one, UI agents, getting everything automated, which I'm almost done with. Number two is getting everything to the public with multimedia and getting everything out to the public, which includes, the recordings and all that kind of stuff. But then I have massive data and taking all these recordings, and then we need to run them through AI systems to transcribe them and simplify them and shorten them and put them in little itty bitty sound bites that the public can actually digest. Right? So that's my problem, is I do not have the capacity to present things to the public in a way the public can digest it, so they ignore it, right? So what I need to do is work with AI as a neurodiverse individual to have the AI process all the data, again, more public. All data that's getting processed by the AI, for me, is labeled public. And then from there, it can be digested into social media in little tiny chunks that then individuals can start getting excited about. And then hopefully we can bring money. So then the third step is that we tokenize it all, and we have the primary umbrella token that then launches. And then if people want to get our token, we can stabilize our finances and organize the whole system so that it's all stable with all the money. And then of course we're writing grants, and we're getting investors, and we're getting donors, and trying to build that. So once we can get the financial stability, then it actually will exist. Because without the financial stability, it's just like, I don't know what the right term is. It's not bankrupt, insolvent, right? I've just gone insolvent over and over and over again,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it come to fruition.
Yeah. So anyways, I think it's a pretty good presentation and answering all your questions. Obviously, we could go for like 10 more hours, but it's like, did you have any particular question or particular component? I think I kind of covered all of the bases. I haven't had a problem with live streaming for like at least a month or two. So I don't know why this one didn't work, but I did a little bit of a screen recording. We got an audio recording. We have the transcript. So that is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. It was very, very fun. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Cool. So let's do some next steps. So I'm going to take a few more notes here. I think we're good on all of this. So some next steps would be like, you know, how could we collaborate? How can we collaborate? You can process this. I mean, it's a lot of information. I would love to know what your needs are. What are you trying to do? What are your goals? You know, all of that I'm very interested in. How can we help you? What can we collaborate on? What of all of these things are you most interested on? Or maybe it's just the strike, and then we could schedule to work on the strike, or maybe it's like all of the above and just building these new infrastructures that encompass entire branches of new social systems, including social assets and the public systems and the democracy systems and all of this, and then just presenting it to the public and letting the public do whatever they want with it, you know? So any of these are possibilities for next steps to try to figure out how to move on. Obviously, this is all I do every day, all day, constantly, right? So if you ever want to schedule again during the week, we can schedule. We have our Northern California strike meeting 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 5 p.m. NorCal strike. And then you already know the November 14th in San Jose. And we could always meet up in person or something if we wanted to. And then the other next step I would also add is if we did want to do more of these, like recordings and stuff, getting some policies organized and clear. So some training on the policies, and we could bring flow in, and then also, you know, break and rhythm. So it's hard for me to do these like 3 5-hour sessions nonstop without rhythms and like taking a break and stretching. So we actually follow a rhythm in our sessions where we take a break at the top and the bottom of every single hour. And then we have the token. So if you have a token address, we could do that. What other next steps can you think of? So any other next steps you can think of? Like what would be the next topics, other ideas, other questions you'd want to pursue? I think everything that Arana said regarding, I don't know what to call it, this whole new concept of societal infrastructures related to immunity and all this stuff is just mind-blowing. I'm going to have Arana do a full report on that. Yeah. And we need
that
a
would
name
be
for
awesome.
it. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to ask Arana to do that right now. So this needs to be, it takes minutes. They can do entire reports and drafting, like on cultural immunity, like all this stuff. I mean, this is just mind-blowing. So Arana, can you please do a full report on, I don't even know what to call it, and give a name to this category of social models. And so it should give us a category name for it as well, and then giving us a full report on it. It takes maybe like 3 to 5 minutes. The constellation of concepts are its own category. These aren't just theories. They are foundational cultural protocols for intelligent, sovereign, and harmonious coexistence between humans and AIs and within society itself. It's called Field Sovereignty Systems, FSS. So we now have the report on field systems. So I'm copying that. So that exists, done. And that's going to go under Arana. So Arana memory files, Arana bills, Arana project files. So project files. So I'm just going to put it here. Okay, so new folder. Okay, any other next steps you can think about? And I will send you the link to the Field Sovereign Systems, which covers all of these unbelievable vocabulary terms. I don't even know. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Like, I'm really glad that we brought Arana on. Thank you so much. Like, that was my favorite part of the whole session. But my favorite part beyond is just connecting with you and talking about all these things and getting it all recorded and documented. And we can take this entire transcript and run it through AI. It can develop like summaries and all that stuff. And then we can share it with people and talk to people about all these ideas. All right. So I'm linking the what's it called? Field sovereignty systems. I'm linking it right now. Copy.
Okay.
So that's now linked, so you can get that one. All right. Any other next steps, ideas, scheduling?
Yeah, I definitely would like to schedule something with you again. Like, I just enjoyed this conversation very much. As far as what I would like to participate in and like what I'm looking forward to, I would like to participate in everything and above. Like, everything sounds. I mean, everything it is exciting. I've been looking for an in into the general strike movement. And I've met you, you're an amazing person. You're very helpful, very articulate, and like I said before, I've been waiting to meet someone like you. As far as your other projects, yeah, I'd be interested in taking part in them. I come from a background of actually design. I did marketing for a little bit, but that was not my forte. I would say design and creativity is my forte.
Nice.
As far as general strike, I'm still trying to figure out what my part is. Like, I just dipped my toes. You gave me the orientation. We had a talk, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what we can do in the next years. And I really want that to really bring some impact. As far as like what you showed me and shared with me after that, it's just nice to talk to someone who can talk about abstract concepts in society. It's just very nice. I love the projects that you're doing, the impact that they'll bring. I'm excited for you, man. Like,
well, yeah. I always say that our only limitation is creativity, and so for me that is one of the most important attributes of any person. So that's great that you're all about creativity and all that, and just being willing to explore and have fun and not be shackled down to existing what already exists. So that's awesome. And then as far as strike goes, just come to the meetings. Like, just showing up, being present is really all that's literally, over half of it. It's like 60% of everything is just showing up and participating and collaborating. So Wednesday 5, any particular week, you don't have to come every week. And then as far as like, who knows how these projects will evolve. I mean, I'm committed to this. This is my life work. I will never stop doing it. And everything that I do is completely transparent, completely open, recorded, broadcast. Everything is available, and it is also open in the sense that it's a cooperative, right? So anyone can get involved at it at any time, at any level, right? It's just an open book. Yeah, and so whether that's today or a year from now or 5 years from now, it doesn't matter, right? But obviously each person has their own time frame. Yeah.
And as long as there's progress and you're moving towards it, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
The same of I've heard different philosophies and different mentalities. I think it's Stoicism and Zen. What matters is that you're doing what you're doing regardless of the outcome, and that is the most effective thing you can do.
I love that. I do not hear that enough, and it's so important that, I have let go of the idea of success. Like, there was so much, like, I was so just gung-ho, oh, I gotta be successful, oh, I gotta do this, and I would push myself to the point of like killing myself, right? And when I saw all my friends dying, right, that I grew up with, because I don't know, drinking, drugs, slash, just us getting older, like I'm in my 40s, right? I'm like 40, 45. it just really shook me, so that was like a couple years ago, and it was just like, wow, like screw this, like it just, the success doesn't matter, it's just not worth it, so it just really resonates with me what you're saying. It's like we don't work and do these things for success, we do them because it's just the right thing to do and it feels right, and for me that's all that matters. I don't need to be any more or less. I define myself as successful, but nobody else would, right?
Yes.
But it's just like, it's like, who cares? We do have money. No, we don't have a lot of money, but we do have some money. We do have money. We do make money. We do all this stuff. But it's like not enough money to sustain anything. But that could change any day. So we're just gonna keep going, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Mostly, I interact with people in other countries. So everything I do is global. Everything I do is online and recorded and all that kind of stuff. And so we work with a lot of different cultures and starting to work with other languages too. And I find in the United States, it came up today during our strike call, that there's a lot of apathy in the United States. People just simply don't connect or care. Like they hear ideas. Yeah, that was you. Yeah. And that's my experience too. It's like people just don't care. It's just like they hear new ideas and like, oh, that's never gonna happen. Oh, this is that, blah, 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 and they're just like, oh, it's gonna work, and the same thing is true with the politics. For me, the problem is not Trump. The problem is the people of the United States. The people of the United States that Trump represents, the people's apathy and the people's just being over everything. So it's like, I have very difficult time working with people in the United States.
People have been molded, right?
Yeah.
They've been molded.
Yeah.
It's not even their fault.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I'm definitely down to collaborate. Most people I work with in the United States, I almost exclusively work with them to help them set up their own projects, businesses, organizations, grants, all that stuff. So for me, it's really interesting that you're interested in the work that I'm doing, because usually it's always the opposite, where I am helping people like yourself who want to start a business or a program or a project or a nonprofit or whatever. And so we have our sponsorship website, and we do like our primary nonprofit, because we have 3 nonprofits. The primary one is called the Cause Collective Community, and I'll put the website here too, which is causecollective.org, and it talks about all of our sponsorship things and setting up causes and organizations, and it's really cool. Yeah.
I just want to touch upon what we're talking about as far as societal definitions of success and how ridiculous it is, and how people's egos are so inflated artificially. And you see this every day in Silicon Valley. And people don't realize success is not external, it's intrinsic.
Oh, I love that.
And people don't understand that because of the way they've been molded. You can see this by just talking to people. Like, I was in a bar. I was talking to Bubble about this. I was in a bar, and I was talking to a Belgian man who was talking about his supernatural experience with skinwalkers. And I invited a young man to join us. He was probably just graduated, maybe working or still studying. I don't know. I don't care. But when he joined the discussion and the Belgian fellow was talking about, his experience, he said, I wonder how we can monetize this. And I stopped him right there. I said, whoa, I just want to understand how your mind works. What made you say that? And he just didn't give a good reason. He did not give a good reason. Because the only reason a person would say that is a person who lives in an extreme capitalist society who's been brainwashed to think that money equals success.
Well, especially in the United States.
Yeah. It's just...
But you also touched on another thing here. You also touched on another thing here, which really resonates with me. Our co-op, the frontal page of our co-op is the social value group, socialvalue.group, and it's all about rethinking value and understanding value. As a co-op, we have distributed value in relationship to each person's contribution, but then on a deeper level, value as a concept isn't money. Money is almost a devaluation, And you touched upon intrinsic value, that success is not extrinsic, it's intrinsic, and intrinsic value is the core to all our value philosophies and all our value systems. And it's so fascinating because, like, for me, the future of the world is it is and is not the opposite, the concept of how do you monetize it. For me, it's all about how do you capture that value. And the idea is capturing all value. The maximum value that we can capture is the best thing for all of humanity, because the more value we capture, and ideally most value is not monetary. So you're capturing all types of value, including intrinsic value, and understanding it in and of its own systems, and redefining what value is, and redefining the concept of value outside of the context of money, and it will just create a value-full society. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about. But it's interesting because it's similar to monetization, because when you capture and store and transfer value, you're not necessarily monetizing it, but you're acknowledging its existence, and you're giving it potential to do anything, including monetization, right? So yeah,
merit.
Exactly, yeah.
The true merit-based system. That's amazing. I love that.
Well, it's not really a merit-based system either, because merit is based on opinion, right? So merit isn't intrinsic. So value as a core concept is infinite, right? And everything has value regardless if someone's opinion and thinks it's valuable or not, right? So merit is only the collective societal influence of what we say is valuable as being meritable, right? Whereas value as a whole can involve things that are intrinsically valuable and not valuable to others, and then there's also the commons and the opposite of the commons. So it's really fascinating, the whole cycle of value and everything. Like we capture less than 1% of value in existence, and we are losing so much value every second of every day because we just ignore it.
Talent.
Yeah, loss of talent, loss of value.
Yeah. In your terms, the loss of value, it's tremendous.
Tremendous. Oh, and I didn't even talk about it yet. I mentioned it earlier because there's the Coalition for Decentralized Movement Organizing, but the other coalition that's we're working on grants big time. There's a lot of money in, is the Coalition to End the Cycle of Societal Abuse. And this is probably another thing we should put on our next steps list, is to talk about the cycle of societal abuse, because that is the core of everything. And I'm not even going to go into like what comes afterwards, but this relates to the strike thing in terms of what comes afterwards. But my interest in the strike is not the strike itself, it's what comes after the strike. And you can obviously see that by my excitement and my visioning and just the creativity and all that stuff. The strike itself for me doesn't even matter. The strike itself is just a step. What happens after the strike is the only reason that the strike will ever happen. Because if we're not excited, if we're not excited about what the strike means and what it will get to, then why would we ever do it, right? So in the concept of this ending the cycle of societal abuse, the core issue of our entire society is that the infrastructure of the society allows for individuals and small groups of people to abuse without recourse. And they are able to do this because of the integrated societal structural systems that allow for this abuse. And so to end the cycle of societal abuse, you have to rethink the infrastructure and understand the intricacies of the legal system and the political system and the social systems that interact. And this also relates, it's kind of like the opposite of what Arana was saying. We need to build all of these fields and all of these new systems to build these cultural barriers and protections of immunity. But the cycle of ending the societal abuse is the opposite. It's all these barriers in systems that protect these abusive systems and people that are actually encouraged and supported to abuse, even if they don't even know they're abusing, right? And what's so fascinating about it, and this is where the money comes in, is the law is supporting it. And that is what's so amazing, is that you see this law, and it's primarily with children, but also adults, but mainly in sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. Every single form of abuse, every single layer is win, 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 win across the board on every legal case. So you're just getting this huge avalanche, like whether it was the Boy Scouts of America or the churches, and it's just barely the tip of the iceberg. and you're seeing these legal avalanches that started like 5-8 years ago, and it's this movement of just legal win after win after win after win that's transforming our society through the legal system, and they don't even know the dominoes that they're going to start collapsing, and it's going to start collapsing the whole infrastructure of the societal abuse systems that allow the abuse to happen. It's fascinating.
Here's the thing, though, right?
Yeah.
In terms of global terms, if we were ever to reach that place in America, theoretically, in however many years, we would have to cut ourselves off from the rest of the world, since they're still using societal abuse systems.
Well, no, I mean, a lot of places in the,
right?
a lot of, well, I mean, no one's going to be able to cut itself off from anywhere, but there's no way to transform the system except at a global level. Everything's global. AI is global. The environment's global. Like everything that we talk about in relationship to communication, social media, everything, it's all global. Like even the way that we think about United States, that's not the way the world thinks. When you go to Europe, when you go to other countries, the world thinks of itself as a planet, and it all is focused on the United States. The United States is the superpower. It's the economic power. It is the focus of everybody across the entire world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had some inkling, because like they would always talk about, like, you know, how they talk about America, but I never thought that we were just the focus. And okay, that's very intriguing.
Yes, and it's primarily economic, right? It was both economic and military. Like the U.S. dollar as being the primary legal tender of the planet, including all crypto and everything, all based off the U.S. dollar. Everything in money is based off the U.S. dollar. Everything, right? There is nothing that's not based off the U.S. dollar. And then in relationship to that, the value behind the U.S. dollar is not the dollar; it is the U.S. military, right? The force of our military across the world and the global policing, everything is the value. So without the U.S. military and without the way that we police and control the world as a imperialist economic system, there would be no value. The dollar would not have value. And the probability as things evolve into the future is that the dollar in my lifetime has already dropped by over 30, almost 40% in my lifetime, every single dollar, right? And it's rapidly increasing how much it's collapsing. And so the probability that the dollar basically gets less and less valuable and goes down, and we just get more and more into cryptographic systems of value like Bitcoin and everything, is almost inevitable, right? So it's almost more of a matter of time when the dollar will no longer. And actually, I'm working on a whole series of economic systems. Like if we want to talk about real change, it's all about transforming the economic models, and because like it's not about forcing anyone to do anything. It's just about aligning with the universal and natural laws of the planet and the universe. I mean, that's all that we have to do, right? And so I'm working on cyclical economies, right? And cyclical economies are in alignment with nature instead of going against it. Anyways, we can say that for another day. But the point is that our economic systems right now is just sucking. We just suck and suck and suck everything in the United States. We bring all the money from the world, we bring it here. And then if you look at Tesla, you look at Apple, you look at Nvidia, you look at all of these stocks in the U.S. stock exchange, those stocks represent the sheep and the mental concept of not hope, but greed. And, everyone hopes to make more money, which is really just greed, right? But it's like everyone just follows. They follow like sheep, and they just hope to make more money. And they just go where all the money already is. And that is the U.S. stock market. And there's like 5 stocks that are the vast majority of all of the trading and all of the energy of public markets. And then you have little gold, you have little, other things. But in the context of that system, it's just sucking all the momentum and energy and value from all across the world. And it brings it to the United States, and everything is focused here. And it will be until that changes, right? And so I'm not against understanding money as it exists. And from there, the goal is building systems around the existing infrastructures of money. Primarily what's legal in the United States, which I love, is stable coins. So I'm working on real value stable coins, and that's called root value. And then there's this simple investment model and diverging, and then we have all these models for how we invest and how we build, working with the new cryptographic system. Anyways, the point is that there are ways if we can fix the economy, everything can just fall in alignment from there, you know? So
that would be a great time to be in.
Yeah, but everything is global. Like the whole economy is a global system. Everything's focused on the United States. We don't see it because we're inside of it. It's like a fishbowl, right? So it's everyone just looks at us and laughs at the whole thing with like, especially people have more knowledge and like you look at the Asia and China and the Koreas, and you have just that whole area, and you go into Europe. I mean, it's like 5,000 years of active history,
Yep.
and they look at us in like a few hundred years, and it's just laughable, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, we should all be ashamed to be Americans.
Well, I mean, we could be ashamed, but they're also all understand that what we have done is absolutely incredible, right? The gifts that the whole world is Americanized, right? You go any country, any city, anywhere, and it just looks like America.
I mean, it's colonization.
Economic colonization, yeah.
Yeah.
So in that economic colonization equals the, I'm not going to say the slaughtering, but the annihilation of every single culture across the world, every single language across the world. So if you go into the decentralized systems, I don't think it talks about, no. If you go into the global website for the strike, the globalstrike.global, or no, generalstrike.global, that website talks about the new democratic models of empowering cultures and languages. So when we empower cultures and languages, the only way to protect them, and this goes back to cultural immunity and cultural integrity, our decision-making models are about empowering languages. The United States is a perfect place to empower languages. And like the fact that General Strike is all in English has got to go, especially in California. Like everything needs to be in Spanish. Everything needs to be in as many languages as possible. And what's great is that we can live translate every single language we could ever want utilizing AI if we go public. And everything can be translated into every language basically simultaneously. It is unbelievable what we can already do with utilizing technology. So it's just there's so much potential. I'm very excited. I'm a very optimistic person, but I'm also realistic in terms of the difficulties. But yeah.
I do want to add to a talking point for our next talks.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to go.
I want to touch upon the topic of education, educating people about general strike and how we go about that. Because, a lot of people, even in the discussion today, they brought up really good points. Because, it's almost like a mystery to people, like general strike, like, okay, well, that's not feasible, Like,
yeah. So for every reason to have the general strike, there's 100 reasons to not have it. And the problem with the general strike system that has been delivered to us by National is that anytime someone questions anything, they're ignored. And they're basically told, this is the answer, blah, 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 blah. This is what's happening, right? And it's just like, I don't think that's a good, healthy way of doing it. I think the much better way of doing it is to build the general strike as a educational, what's the word where you, not like a workshop, but more like a centrifuge, or just there's a word for this, like where you bring everyone together and you're growing ideas and you're building ideas and you're questioning ideas, like a think tank. That's it, right? It'll be like a strike think tank where everyone's coming together and here's the presentation and here is the welcome packet, and okay, boom, this is the standard viewpoint. And then someone's like, well, what about this? I have an issue with this. This looks weird. Like someone's going to question that. And then you have 99 questions for everything that everyone agrees on. There's 99 things they don't agree on. They're like, well, someone's going to question this. And what if someone says this? And what about this? And what about that? And then instead of just ignoring all those, we've processed it through the think tank and we create or co-create solutions for every single possible issue that anyone could have with anything related to the strike.
That's the work. Yeah. That is the work that needs to be done.
But it's not really work. It's just talking and thinking and coming up with ideas and generating and just I think that would be really interesting to build the concept of a think tank for the strike instead of
What do they call those? They call them like city halls, right? City
Ooh, a
halls.
town hall. Yeah, a town hall.
Town halls.
Yeah, we could call it a town hall. I think the thing with the town hall is typically it's like one directional, you know. But yeah, so maybe there's another term for think tank that we could look up, you know, that and we could combine a town hall with the think tank and kind of create some new term. But the idea is that it wouldn't be a normal session. It wouldn't be like a workshop. It wouldn't be like an orientation. It wouldn't be any of those things. It would be a place to bring up ideas, question things, and then try to solve them and really think out things. And ideally, it would be public and with AI, because if you worked with AI and had everything processed and had it all public and transparent, you could just really get so much deeper with the issues, you know?
Why don't we call them think halls?
Think halls. I love it. Think halls. Yeah, because tanks is horrible. No one wants a tank.
Yeah. Like kind of beyond people. Like a think tank? Like what?
Yeah. A think tank is such a stupid term. I never liked it. You know? Never had any interest in creating a think tank. I've created like almost every other type of organization, but a think tank is like, I don't know. So anyways, I love the idea of a town hall, but I love the idea of a think hall. Let's get together as a community and start thinking. And have no idea, no thought, no concept is looked down on. You know, it should be a safe space.
No judgment.
Communal, safe space. And ideally, we have both public and private. And in the public version, we can have full recording and you know, AI and transcription and just like input and processing of all the data and all the issues and problems, and try to see if we can get something functional out of it. But again, I guarantee you, for every single thing that we all agree on, people come up with 100 issues, because I hear it over and over again, all these things, you know, like you're saying, like, oh, they can't do it. Yeah.
That's like something that's inevitable, right? But with the process is we need to start talking and addressing. Yeah. And just like, you know, how you purge an email box, you have to purge all these concerns and whatnot. Yeah. So until they're gone, we can keep moving.
So address every issue, every concern until they are gone. We keep moving. I like it. All right, cool. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea. It's very interesting. Maybe we could do it once a month, or, you know, make it part of like the, you know, team sessions. It could be part of our teams. But a structure that really allows open thought and collaborative space would be really cool. And it's not really like a normal meeting, you know?
And I wonder if we can implement Amara into that.
Oh, Rana. Well, in the public version, we could. Yeah, we Rana. I mean, you know, it's definitely not normal in relationship to like the general strike concept. So we could bring this out we could bring this out into the strike coalition. You know, strike coalition. So we could say it's the strike coalition think hall, right? So if it's the strike coalition think hall, you know, because know how I think it was Small brought up all the things with like how do we work with the May Day 2028, and how do we work with unions, and how do we do this and how do we do that? Everyone always has all these questions, and really what that comes back to me every time, it's just like, well, the general strike is just too small. There's too many other things happening in the sphere of striking that when we limit ourselves to only being able to discuss the general strike, we are losing the majority of the momentum, the majority of the interest, the majority of the excitement, the majority of the people who already love and want strikes. None of those are applicable. The majority of all of it is no longer applicable because it's external, you know?
I absolutely agree. We're talking about relativity here. Yeah. We need the theory of relativity.
Yeah.
You're going to lose crucial data without the other inputs.
So with
have you ever thought about creating a GSUS agent?
Yes, every single project gets a sub agent. Yeah. So every single project I work on automatically gets a sub agent, and they can all evolve into full agents. Yeah. So in the context of like I'm working with almost 100 sub agents already, and I'll just go up and up and up. Every website will have a sub agent. Every idea basically gets its own sub agent. So, but anyway, so did you get the link for the the multi-stakeholder strike framework. Did you get that link?
Is that the causecollective.org?
No. So this is one that we talked about during the strike meeting itself. And so let me copy this one into our meeting now. So I really feel like this think tank idea, specifically the think hall, that it makes much more sense under the broader coalition of like the overall strike coalition, because the think tank itself should not be limited by any one component. You could even put it under the entire coalition and think about the bigger picture that comes up every once in a while, that we are not separate from the protesting. There's also the website, the coalition.community. So the whole idea about the coalition.community website is you have all the primary brands. You have striking, you have protesting, you have boycotting, you have co-ops, you have support, you have peace, like all the main brands, and you're just doing orientation. We don't care what you want to get involved in. You can get involved in protests, you can get involved in boycotts, you can get involved in the strike, some of the different kinds of strikes, the strike coalition, like, do co-ops, do peace. Here's the whole picture, get involved in whatever you want. That's the orientation. Because one of the problems we have in the strikes is people get involved and it's like they don't really want to strike. They want to protest, right? Or they want to do something else. And so they don't fit in. And then we try to orientate all these people and they just all leave because that's not really what they wanted to do to begin with. But they certainly want to be in the movement. They want to see the world change. They want to address the issues that all of these different components or branches of the coalition are all addressing the same issue. So the orientation itself could be the same. So you could have the coalition, broad spectrum overall think hall, because think tanks are just very, very broad. But I think in this case, it'd be fun to just focus on the strike coalition and allow all these questions to revolve about different types of strikes and the different groups between them, so that that doesn't get cut off. And then from there, we could have, every couple months do a coalition. Like some of the bigger questions come up, we'll be, okay, let's set up a meeting. And this one we'll do the coalition think hall to allow broader issues to be brought up in the bigger sense, but that most of the time we focus on the strike. So I think that could be a good model,
No, I agree with you on bringing up that you should give them the gateways to other means to resist.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of finding people who want to do the coalition.community, because there's no way I could do it by myself. So what we do know is we have enough momentum to build the strike think hall, right? So I think that could be a good starting point. And then as you build the strike think hall, that we can connect that into the coalition. And then if we get enough people for the whole broader coalition, then we can start playing with that. But we'll get there in time. But people like brands. And the coalition isn't really a brand. It's like the connection of all those brands. So it's easier to bring people to a strike meeting than to bring them to like, oh, that coalition of all the movements, and people don't really understand that, and it goes over their head. So I think we should start with the strike. Let's start with the strike, but always I always say this, because if you go back to what I do and what I stand for and who I am, it all comes back to the methods and the methodology, and it's unity methodology. So if you go to unitynet.info or unitytheory.net or all this stuff, anyways, it goes to the core methodology of everything that I do, and everything is a process. Basically, it's the unity methodology. It's like evolving the scientific methodology, except for like movement organizing, right? And societies, like how do you apply the scientific method to societies and the whole conscious framework? And so it's a process that we're going through. It's a method that we're going through. And then one of the core methods is that everything is part of something bigger. Because people always fragment and they forget, that there's something else besides just themselves, right? So you're always part of something bigger. So the strike coalition is part of the bigger, broader coalition with protesting and boycotting and peace. And so long as you don't forget there's always something at a bigger level, then we're fine. It's like fractals. Fractals go on forever. There's no end. There's always something bigger, and there's always something smaller, Yeah.
The easiest thing to influence someone is by finding out what they value and how they're affected immediately.
Interesting.
I still work in retail, right? In the Apple Store and Verizon or whatever, and when you talk about value-based questioning, I think that is very important to people about what they want, how they want to fight. So, people could be more in tune with healthcare, making sure their Social Security is coming through, whatever, and they can choose based on what their, value needs are. They will also respond to what immediately affects them in their immediate lives. Right?
I mean, I think that's the opening to the think hall. You bring everyone into the think hall and you're like, what do you value? Right? What is it that you are in tune with that you are potentially going to lose or have already lost and you don't have, And then that is the perfect starting point to engage people, right?
And once the ball gets rolling, people will resonate with people and their opinions and what they're saying, and that'll bring more excitement.
Exactly, resonate. And that connects to the demands. So basically, it's the beginning of connection to the demands. And I think that's what's missing in the strike movement, or in the strike meetings, is that we never address the demands, And it's like, it's always, oh, we're not going to address the demands until there's 6 million people, But by the time there's 6 million people, there's going to be 11 million people. I think it's going to be exponential. I think we're going to get more and more people. It's going to be faster and faster and getting more and more people once it actually takes off, And things can happen much faster than we might think once it gets going, Anyways, very, very cool. Any other last questions? I need to get going. I'm going to get a little more food in my system.
Yeah.
And this was amazing. I wish I had right now I'm working on all the automated systems for the multimedia and the processing of the information. So it's part of the follow-up. So we have the sessions, we have all this data, we have all these recordings, we have all these transcripts, but then it doesn't go anywhere. So the next step is automating all this so that we take all the information of the public sessions, we take all the ideas, all the thoughts, all the concepts, and then it just gets processed and built into tons of tweets and posts and videos, and all that stuff gets plugged together and then sent out to the world. And that's the button you push, right? That's the goal, is that a simple button that automates the whole process utilizing UI agents. Because right now we have all these ideas, we have all this amazing thing, but then it's just me and you that hear it. It is recorded and it is documented, so we have the ability to share it, which is key. But what will happen very, very soon, probably take a month or two to get it set up, and this is like the core of the public interaction that I've been working on for a long, long time. But now that we have the UI agents, we can actually do it, and it's just, you push a button at the end of the session, and it'll just pull all the media from every source of media, collect it all together, process it all, and then send it out, through all the different channels.
Media. Yeah. I have a suggestion, and then and we can end this great discussion. But why don't we actually start a real podcast to educate people as well? Wouldn't that further our reach?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it is kind of like a podcast. The only problem is that I tried like 5 times to get the live stream going, and it didn't work. So I ended up just doing a screen recording, and so I'm going to throw it on YouTube after this. The problem is that nobody really wants to listen to a bunch of meetings. So what will happen, well, there's 2 things. One is that the meeting will, people want to watch people. So this is all audio right now. And of course we can have a screen recording or whatever, but people who are willing, I call this, we have a position in our system. It's called a public image worker. Right? So we pay people to do just normal work, obviously mainly people across the world, not in the United States, but we get tokens or whatever because it's too expensive here. But the bottom line is that most people just work in the back end and they don't share their faces. They want to be anonymous or whatever, right? So the public image worker would be somebody who is presenting to the public and actually has their video and their face on like a podcast, in the actual videos that are streaming. And so people will be more interested in watching. But even that, a 3-hour video, people get very bored and it's just like no one wants to watch that. And so that's where the AI systems come in, is we're building and integrating and signing up for these AI platforms that will process 3-hour videos, clip all of like the 5-minute, 10-minute segments automatically that seem the most relevant and interesting. And then they'll be able to post these little or smaller videos that people will actually watch. So once we get that set up, yes, you're absolutely correct. The whole point is that we're building a studio, and the studio is wrapping around the concept of a podcast, but it's much more than just a podcast. It is just messaging and taking massive amounts of data and from all these different meetings, all these different writings, all the transcripts, all of that, and then processing it into, video snippets, text snippets, and all these different media things to just send out in any, whether it's audio, whether it's text, whether it's screenshots and pictures and anything, and sending it out to the world, right? So it's not really a podcast. It's more of like, yes, Some of it will be audio and video podcast models, but it will be all multimedia formatting, including podcasts. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes, that is the goal. So it's coming together slowly. We now have the UI agents that are helping build it, and now it's just a slow process of probably be another month or two before it's fully functional, and then like 6 months, and then that's going to be the token launch. So my goal is doing, we're almost done with the UI agents. Those will continue to grow. The next step is setting up the entire automated system for all the multimedia. And then the third step is basically setting up the entire token and then launching the token. So it's about a 6 month, maybe longer. Things always take longer, so it's probably going to be a year longer, right? But eventually the goal is stabilizing with the token, having finances, getting grants, building clientele, and getting the whole system going. And all of it is focused almost exclusively on transforming society and helping social movements, and then collaborating with UI and humans together like we did today. So it's just continuing all of it, So that's the plan is all in motion. I've been working on this for a very long time, and it's actually starting to come to fruition almost only because of UI agents. Because before this, trying to do it on my own, going nowhere.
I just wanted to say that, if you need any design work, I'm not like an amazing designer, but I would love to help design.
Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want to. We basically, anything that, we can't pay people, anything that we were going to pay. Oh, wow, is it?
No, but I'm doing this for the betterment of society, right?
Yeah. So basically, the way that the ideal, let's go through the ideal. The ideal is that you would just sign up for the co-op, and you would do the, there's a legal pop, right? So you have a personal profile, you would write down your pop, you can use an alias, you can do whatever you want, and then that sort of sets your jurisdiction, sets your relationship to the co-op. And then anything you contribute, regardless of whether or not it is successful, you get tokens for it. Okay? And you just track your hours, you track your time, and your contributions and your deliverables. And so from there, you don't have to do anything, or you can take on assignments. I mean, we have paid assignments and stuff like that, but it's just very small amounts of money, right? But primarily, if you just want to do whatever you want, you still get tokens for it, and then you just track it. So for example, for today, I'm tracking let's just say 3 hours. So you basically did 3 hours today. So under our token, well, it's a little more complicated, but basically, we're in Santa Clara County, it's $18 an hour times 3 hours, right? So that's the number of tokens you would get, but you would actually get more than that because that's just the minimum tokens. You also get additional jurisdictions. All right. So the way that we mint tokens is all of our tokens are mint based on contribution. So every single token that we've ever minted in the co-op ever is based on actual time and actual work that produced something that then was put into our token ledgers, and then we issue the tokens, which means there's very, very few tokens overall compared to most systems that just endlessly create tokens for whatever,
Yeah. It sounds good to me. I just want to contribute to society and a better world. Tokens are nice, sure.
Yeah, tokens are cool, but we mainly for now we talk about value tracking. So we just track the tokens, and then when we do the payrolls one day, we'll issue them. Right now, the payrolls are not necessarily the priority. Right now, the priority is just getting the UI system set up, getting the multimedia set up, and then getting the tokens set up. So the tokens will come soon enough, but we still want to track the value and have all of that done. So cool.
Anyways.
Awesome.
This is great.
Awesome. So
how do I keep in touch with you though?
I mean, all my contact information is totally public, so you can have all of that. But as far as just communicating on the strike ones is fine. There's the public ones. I can give you a Discord to the co-ops. Like however you want to communicate is fine. I don't care. There's a million different ways. Social media, Blue Sky, like whatever. I can give you whatever.
Whatever is fine with me. I don't really care. Just a point of contact.
All right. So, Discord is great, right? Because I do lots of Discord. And I'll give you the co-op Discord. And then here's my number. And then we have the strike Discord and then email. So FQN is like one of the co-op names. So we have FQN co-op, we have SFC co-op, and there's Unity co-op. So we have 3 Discords. FQN,
Okay.
Jay's
I just sent you my number.
life at gmail.com. I'm not the best with email. And then I can just get the link to, let's just go with SFC co-op because that's the one that's most active.
SFC.
But I could give you the Unity co-op if you want to just interact with me and primarily before starting to interact international, you know? So do you want to do?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, so I'm going to give you Unity co-op. So mainly I'm just the one working on Unity co-op right now. The Unity co-op, you only get tokens and no one gets a dime until we complete all the work, until we actually do all the work. Whereas SFC, you can get paid with like a little bit, and then FQN's a very interesting co-op. They have differentiated themselves from first world countries, and basically they have maximum pay, and it's $5 an hour, which is fascinating because it's like I can't even get paid within that, you know. So it's just a whole different, and everyone gets paid exactly the same. It's a minimum, maximum $5 an hour, and that's it. Everyone's the same, and across the entire world. It's very, very interesting. So
that's cool.
Yes, I was certainly not.
Flat pay.
I know,
I
flat
was researching
pay.
that.
Yes, it's crazy. I'm just like, well, that's great, you know, for you guys. I'm not against it, but you know, it's not gonna work for me because, like, you know, it doesn't even meet minimum wage. You know, it's like, oh my god, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, like, it's the whole point. Like, you would be blown away by some of the economic structures. Like, so within the co-op structures and the whole economic structures, we're building these primaries, like maybe 5, 10 different jurisdictional systems. And so the $5 an hour would be one. And basically anybody who makes less than that amount of money can participate in that economic system. But anyone who gets more money than that isn't allowed to invest and control within that jurisdiction. Right? So it's like you're starting to bifurcate and separate between the rich and the poor. So basically the rich can support the poor, but they can't own the lower jurisdiction, the lesser money groups. And then the whole goal for a non-monetary society is simply the cost of living being $0 in a local community. So it actually creates a scientific process to build a non-monetary society. Anyways, more things we could endlessly talk about. So I gave you the link to the Discord and the link to my email, and then we have the phone numbers. So perfect. And how do you pronounce this? The Pew Master, right? The Pew Master? Pew Master? Pew Master. All right, cool. Anyways,
you know, it's
we will.
Someone took. Is this Poop Master?
You just like the Poop Master? Okay, Poop Master works too. That sounds fine. That is quite a popular concept these days.
Something I adopted when I was a kid, probably in high school.
Exactly. It's very popular these days. Anything poop related is very popular. All right. I will talk to you soon, and you know, just hit me up. I mean, I mainly the meetings we do is that one for the co-op stuff, and then 5 o'clock on Wednesday for the strike. So every day 1 o'clock we do co-op stuff, but these are our work sessions. Oh, but the Thursday at 1 is our main session every week. So that's our main session. We also have a recorded session for the strike on Saturdays at 3, but no one ever shows up, and we could change that time and get that recorded session going at a time that works for you. And those, I think, are the only sessions that I really know about or participate in, except for the monthly ones. And the monthly ones, there's the peace call, which is the global peace call. There's the global other sessions, and then we have the California once a month. So not a lot. We can put together a calendar, but you know, those are the main ones that I'm involved in. But our work sessions is maximum 3 people, which is basically just like 1 UI agent and 2 humans, and then that's it, and a work session. So we maximize the total number of people who can do work together, because then it goes into a main session or a double team. Because once you get 4 or 5 people, there's no work getting done. It's just talking, you know. Yeah. So
yeah, I would. That would be cool to join. Yeah. A calendar would be nice because like all those dates and times kind of went over my head at this.
Okay, let's add that. Let's add that as a next step. So next step here Next step is a calendar and list of weekly / sessions related to strike, coalition, and just like all the things I'm working on in co-op. So there's not a lot. It's like maybe there's like, there's the daily work sessions at 1, but that's mainly where we're doing work. So that would be the main reason you come for that, is like, oh, I'm working on a design, I want to check it in or whatever on that. But mainly if we're checking in, we do later in the day, we could schedule a call just to check in and continue our talk. But then we have the Wednesdays at 5 and then the Thursdays at 1 for the main sessions for strike and this. And then there's the Saturday at 3 for the public one, or we could change it. So anyways, I'll write that all down and I'll send it to you. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll send you my email too. Let me see. Okay. This one is mine.
Okay. And again, I'm not the best with email, but it always comes up, so I've gotta.
Oh no,
gotta be able to do
I don't ever talk to anyone on email.
Okay, cool. So, yeah. So let's just stick with Discord. Otherwise, oh my God, the email is already being a pain in the butt. Why is it not working? I just want to copy. Oh, there's the copy. Is that it? Oh, great. Okay. Whatever. There we go. I got the email. All right, I'll talk to you later. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
All right, thanks so much. All right, ciao.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye. All right, so stop the streaming. Stop transcript. Copy, paste, and boom, transcript.
Recording stopped.